Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Nice to meet you, Matt.
Nice to meet you too.
Hola a todos. Yo me despedí ahorita en el panel anterior, pero realmente voy a seguir con ustedes. Eh, por favor, confirme la audiencia si siguen con nosotros, si me escuchan bien, si tienen algún problema técnico o si tienen alguna pregunta, porque continuamos con nuestro bloque de tecnologías emergentes. Ahí espero sus comentarios en el chat. We're just gonna wait for the public to confirm us if we are. We're fine. We're totally fine. Ok,
Right.
muchas gracias. Bueno, en este mismo bloque de tecnologías emergentes les hemos ido comentando, vamos a tener dos pláticas. La primera parte de este bloque de tecnologías emergentes estuvo relacionado con el blockchain. Sin embargo, también hay otro tema que es muy importante que se los pongamos sobre la mesa para ir incursionando. Este tema, y Matt, que está con nosotros, ahorita les platico un poquito más de Matt, es Unlocking Value from Your Data Science Team. Cómo vamos a manejar los datos, cómo los vamos a capitalizar en el tema de negocios. Matt nos va a ir ayudando y nos va a ir enseñando cómo descubrir y cómo introducirnos en este tema del manejo de los datos. Matt es instructor sobre ciencia de datos en Business Science University. Ha trabajado con compañías o se dirige a compañías en S&P Global y MRM McCann. Él, con su experiencia, le ayuda a varios científicos y su tema como instructor nos lleva a irlos pasando cómo aplicar este manejo de los datos y llevar a distintos científicos a ir pasando de nivel bajo, intermedio o nivel avanzado. Entonces, pues creo que va a ser bastante didáctica su presentación, bastante educativa. Recuerden que vamos a poder estar viendo sus preguntas. Matt, in this section of emerging technologies, you're going to talk about a topic that is quite relevant in business and its innovation. So thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
I know that you understand a little bit Spanish, but I was just talking about your experience and your knowledge at Business Science University and how you teach how to apply data science to business. That's all I was telling to the public. So again, thank you very much for being here with us, and the public is all yours. Go ahead.
Okay, just real quick, I need to share my screen, so I'm just going to do that. And then just to verify, it's okay if this is in English because obviously I don't, I'm not fully fluent in Spanish.
Of course.
Okay, good.
You're expecting that you speak Spanish the whole time. Aren't you ready for that?
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for having me. Again, my name is Matt Dancho. What I'll be presenting today is mainly kind of when I talk with organizations, what I do, I like to talk about how to unlock value from data science. So it's one of the challenges. Obviously, data science was really big right now, and I see those trends continuing into the future. I'll talk a lot about that, but I also like to talk about the results of data science and where I see that teams can add value to their organizations. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. Again, my name is Matt Dancho. I am the founder of Business Science. We have an educational platform. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. But mainly what I want to do is I want to really focus on showing you guys how to unlock business value. Okay. So there's a couple of big changes that are going on right now. And the agenda for today, I'm going to be focusing the bulk of this conversation on those big changes, what I'm seeing from the data, what I'm seeing from talking with students. And the two changes that we're going to be focusing on is one, the demands and the need for predictive applications in businesses. So we'll be focusing on that change. And then the second change is this transition from having on-premise IT and servers to moving a lot of the hardware to the cloud. So this transition to the cloud we'll be talking about. So because of these changes, they present challenges and opportunities. And what I'll be doing is focusing on what businesses now expect and how to utilize a data science team to provide value to that business. And there's some challenges that we'll come across, and I'll give you some solutions at the end. But first, so yes, businesses are shifting to, so the big changes that are going on out there, the businesses are shifting to predictive web applications and cloud technologies. It's this concept of data democratization. So basically what's happening is companies see the ability of the analytics groups, whether that's a data science team, whether that's a team of business analysts, whether that's a team of people that just are good with data, they're able to produce information, and that information can really be helpful throughout the organization. So instead of giving it to the executives in the form of reports, what businesses now want to do is they want to push that to the ground floor, and that's called data democratization. And it's also called being able to scale out your data platforms and be able to make decisions at the ground level. So that's basically what I'm talking about. What I want to do is I want to show you guys a demo of what I'm talking about. So as opposed to just talking in abstract, I'm going to pull up an application, and let me just pull it up. This is an app, and this is what businesses want nowadays. So what this application does is I'm going to browse a PDF and pull in this first document. And I'll explain what I'm doing here in a second. So you can see it's uploading a document, and then I'm going to click this button called Run NLP. And what that's going to do is behind the scenes, you don't see this, but on a server, what's happening is it's calculating and performing predictions, and it's analyzing the text that's in this document. And what it's going to do is it's going to over here provide some information to me. So this is what is an example of an application where a use case of it would be is that a company has tons and tons of PDFs. They have people that they hire to read those PDFs. Obviously, somebody reading a PDF document every day, day in and day out for 8 hours or 10 hours a day, that can get a bit monotonous, and it can be error prone. So what a data science team can do is help to provide an application that helps point them in the right direction. So what I did was I loaded in this PDF. It's got several different pages here, some text. It's got some tables to it and so on. And what the algorithm behind the scenes did was it took all of this text that's in this document and it analyzed it by performing what's called a sentiment analysis. And basically what it's doing is it's highlighting the very polarizing statements that are out there. So we can see here, if I look at, say, this one right here, it says Halliburton released Nitro Force TM, a new drilling motor that provides increased power and performance to complete longer laterals faster with greater. So what I'm reading in is a document from this company Halliburton, and it's ranking the sentiment as very high, meaning it's a positive sentiment. So this would be something that I want to focus on because it's very polarizing. And it basically tells me which page it's on. So it says it's on page 2, and it's in paragraph 22. So if I go over to page 2, that paragraph is right down here. So I as an analyst, what I want to do is I want to read this section because there's important information in there. Conversely, the negative stuff is also important. So this is the first paragraph on page 1. It has highly negative sentiment. So it's pointing me in the right direction. And it's pointing me towards this paragraph where they've announced some income and the adjusted net income. They're announcing a loss, and that algorithm behind the scenes is detecting that there's some information in there that we want to check out. So this is a tool that is an example of what a data science team can offer the company to be able to help them do something a little bit better than they did previously. And these can be internal tools, they can be external tools, they can be customer facing. These are all, they're just ways that we as data scientists can help the company out. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today, is this idea of building these applications and being able to provide business value through applications. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see here. Next slide. There we go. All right. So back to the changes. So what's happening? Why am I seeing this out here? Why am I talking about it? Well, there's two changes, as we had mentioned. The first change is the shift to predictive applications. So what happened back in the day was we've all kind of grown up as organizations providing, the CEO reports, providing the executives reports, and what that was is right here, these descriptive reports. But as we see the this thing called data science growing within organizations, we're seeing a transition, and we're now going to Tableau for descriptive dashboards. We're even going to adding predictive elements to those dashboards and utilizing tools like Jupyter and R Markdown, and even moving now into predictive web applications like the one I just showed you. And that is using different technologies. So we're seeing this transition, and what we want to do is we want to be able to understand, okay, how are companies using these technologies? How is it providing value? So here's an example from a company called Safe Auto. And what this guy is, he's the CIO of Safe Auto. His name is John Kish. And he is showcasing an example where they're using data science in the form of an application, and it's helping them identify anomalous payments. So you can see that there's two different lines here. There's a blue line and an orange line. One is the prediction, one is the observation, the other is the prediction. And then where there's these red dots, and it's a little tough to see, but those are outliers, and those are where the algorithm is predicting that there's an anomaly happening, and we need to understand why. So this is just one example of a company that's out there, Safe Auto, utilizing apps to be able to drive decision making. Another example is this application right here. This gentleman, Daniel Marcus at Google, he's showcasing a different type of application that uses geospatial data to be able to identify different traffic patterns, maybe anomalies and things that the company weighs, which makes an application to be able to outsmart traffic. This helps them internally identify different traffic patterns and update their databases accordingly, which update their routes. So it's very useful for them to know when there's anomalies going on. Okay, so that was the transition to applications, and that's what I'm seeing out there from a number of different companies. Now, what I'm also seeing, and this is happening at the same time, is this shift to cloud services. So we'll talk about that. The biggest one right now is AWS, and what we're seeing is that these companies are moving from traditional on-premise IT infrastructure like servers and having a whole networking system on site, which costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're switching that to the cloud because of being able to get the same type of service but on demand. So if they need to add capacity, say they have a big client that they just took on and they need to ramp up capacity for their servers being able to serve applications, they can do that with AWS or Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud Platform and so on. So it's this idea of going from on-site to in the cloud. And while this is happening, this really helps out the analytics team because they're able to have all of this software, all this infrastructure available on demand, and they're able to ramp up. So to give you kind of some evidence of what's going on out there, this year, one of the biggest headlines out there was Microsoft. They won a contract with the Department of Defense for $10 billion. And it's this thing called the JEDI contract. So basically what Microsoft is going to be doing is they're going to be supplying for the next 10 years or so, they're going to be supplying the US government with cloud infrastructure using their Azure product. And even more than that, what we're seeing is some trends out there. So we're seeing that this is not just a one-year phenomenon, but this is rather a multi-year trend that is growing at a rate of 22% per year. Companies are shifting from on-premise to in the cloud. and it's growing very fast. Who are the big players? The biggest player is AWS, and that's what this line represents. There's also Microsoft Azure, which is very popular with the enterprise. They have the enterprise name, and then with marketing companies, specifically digital marketing, Google Cloud is very popular. But the idea here is they all offer very similar services. So if you learn one, then you can really be powerful for your organization. So what businesses now expect? We've got these two changes that are going on. So what they want now, in 2015, it was reports and servers. And now in 2020, so fast forward 5 years, they want apps and cloud. So they want to be able to make those decisions at the ground floor using data democratization. They also want to have it scalable to have these apps to be available to all of the people who need them, and also have security with them, so that way none of the people who don't need them can have access. And you do that with cloud technology. So the question then becomes, we know now what's going on, but what is preventing our data science team from unlocking this business value through cloud and through apps? Well, the first problem is they need to be able to make applications. And most educational programs that are out there, they never teach analysts or data scientists how to make these applications. They're just expected to kind of learn it on their own. So what happens in an organization is that you have a business problem and you have a business value at the end. So you have this concept that you come up with, and you want to be able to unlock business value with it. And in order to go from the problem where you have some sort of PDFs or whatever your business has as a problem that you want the data team to focus on, you normally follow a workflow. Now the workflow doesn't really change too much. It involves preparation, so acquiring data, formatting and cleaning that data. It requires experimentation, coming up with some ideas, how what tools exist, how can we possibly solve this, maybe providing some sort of transformations and some what they call ETL, so converting that from kind of unstructured data into structured data, and then modeling it. So they teach, most programs out there, what they do is they end up focusing very heavily on the modeling portion of it, and that's very important, but you can't really model unless you can prepare data, and you can't provide value unless you also learn how to distribute data and as in a format that the organization can digest. So in order to unlock value, you have to do a lot more than just do modeling and machine learning. And that's really where it comes in as the first hurdle, is that most data science teams are really strong in this department, but not so much on this department and not so much on this department. So how do you make apps? You have to learn, a full set of tools, and this is kind of how the particular stack for this app overlays. So you need to know different tools for working with for this particular application, like PDFs. You have to be able to work with images. You have to be able to develop an application using this. The technology that I use was called Shiny, and you have to be able to make visualizations in here. And then there's a modeling algorithm that does what's called natural language processing on the text document. So that was the first problem. You need to be able to build applications, and most data science teams struggle in that area. The second problem is that you also need to learn how to deploy applications. So once you make an app, it's, that's great, but it just exists on your computer. You have to be able to put it on the cloud and use servers to be able to serve it to the people who need to have it, and also have the security to prevent people who don't want to have access to those applications, prevent them from gaining access. So this is a lot to learn, and it's pretty heavy. I mean, this is just AWS right here, all of the services that they offer, and then added to it. So that's just AWS, but you also have a bunch of other technologies that you need to know in order to be able to host these applications and deploy these applications. So it becomes very challenging. And the fact is that data science, if you're learning through most universities, you're really, again, you're just focusing on one small piece, which is the machine learning component, the theory, the math, which is really important, but you're not learning how to deploy applications. You're not learning how to do some of these other things that can really help the organization. So the solution, here's how you can help unlock value from your data science team. It's by educating your data science team. So the things that I want to show you right now is this data science tool chain. And what this is, and I have a bunch of different logos on here. I don't expect you guys to, memorize all of this. But the idea here is that if you learn kind of a subset of everything that's out there and you kind of boil it down, I call this 80-20 learning. But basically it's the 20% of things that are going to generate the 80% of your results for your organization. If you focus educating your data science team on those specific attributes, you can really go from this to this very fast. And I'm talking like in a matter of a day or hours, going from a business problem to coming up with an application that solves that problem. A data science team can literally do it that fast. So there's a lot here, but it's basically if you learn certain packages and tools, and I call this the R data science tool chain, which is what I teach, you're able to kind of come through this process, iterate, and produce reports and produce applications that look like this in a very fast manner. The second thing that I teach is cloud deployment technologies. So what I'm talking about here is, and you remember this from the previous slide, I teach a subset of what Amazon offers. I also teach some of the most important tools for working with software. And I teach this to the data science team, which is like unheard of, right? So so most data scientists don't know how to do any of this stuff because it's not taught. But if you teach them, this increases their productivity 100x because they can build these apps very fast, but now they won't depend on another department to deploy the apps, like the IT department. They can do it themselves. They can spin up a server, or they can do it on premise. If you have on-premise servers, you just give them access to a server, and then they can do it. And it has all of the same security that your IT group would put on it. So to kind of summarize, we've got these challenges that are out there that companies are facing right now. There are these changes. They want to democratize data science, produce applications. They want to they want to switch their infrastructure to the cloud. And that's a huge opportunity for the data science teams, but they just need to learn how to be able to unlock this value. And that's exactly what I teach. So the last minute here, I'm just going to talk very briefly about a program that I offer. And it's available for business analysts, for data scientists, for anybody that's interested in learning to work with data better and to eventually, if they want to deploy applications and build applications, it teaches you that. So it's a 4-course system, and it starts with the foundations, and it's kind of like climbing a mountain. But what I do is I teach how to do the data cleaning, visualization, a lot of the workflow, the machine learning and business reporting, and that takes about 7 weeks. And it really helps develop the foundations for your data, people who are working with data. The next thing I do is I teach how to automate them, how to utilize these tools like H2O, how to follow a business framework for problem solving, and how to apply this to business problems. So once they learn how to apply to business problems, then they can package that analysis up and put it into these over here, these applications. So the last 2 courses that I offer are on web applications and developing what's called shiny web apps. And they can develop predictive dashboards. So this one here, it forecasts the next few, it forecasts demand or sales. And then this one over here, this is actually a financial application, but it's a full stack app that manages multiple users, has security, authentication, and I teach data scientists how to build these. So that's basically how you unlock value, is you allow your data science team to be able to learn how to learn how to work with the cloud technologies. And if they can come through that process of building the apps and then deploying them using the cloud, they can unlock a lot of value for the organizations. So with that said, I'd love to handle any questions. This is our website here, university.business-science.io. And that's my presentation for today.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. You're totally right. The world business is changing, and I think that we have to learn and adapt our methods to a new reality. You have presented us a lot of options. Thank you very much for sharing with us your knowledge and your experience. We're gonna share your information, so you will definitely will be hearing from us. I don't know if the public have some questions. I don't see any, but el público, no sé si tenga algunas preguntas. Te dicen gracias, Matt, por tu participación. I don't know if there's anything else that you like to tell us, more information maybe, or where we can find you beside the website that you told us.
Yeah, so the main thing is just businessscience.io. This is the company that I'm the founder of. And this is where I put all of my information out. So you can find more information on the courses. You can find more information about how data scientists are able to leverage what I'm talking about here by building applications. And then I also have a blog here too. I think this is pretty interesting. It's very good for anyone that's involved in data science. So you can add your email here, and you can get these articles that I release every couple of weeks. And yeah, that's probably the best way to connect with me. I'm also on LinkedIn if anyone's on LinkedIn, and I love to connect there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Matt. Gracias a todos por seguir con nosotros. Vamos a tener un siguiente bloque. Este siguiente bloque ya no va a ser de tecnologías emergentes, pero vamos a seguir en la misma sintonía porque el siguiente bloque es el bloque de innovación. Este bloque, la host de este bloque de innovación que nos va a estar presentando dos conferencias es Ana Paula Méndez. Ana Pau es consultor de BlueWolf Group, así que en un momento vamos a subirla al escenario. Vamos a cambiar de sesión. Recuerden que lo único que tienen que hacer es seguir con nosotros. Nosotros nos encargamos de mantenerlos en sintonía, de cambiar la sesión. Terminando cada sesión, y doy mucho este comercial, van a poder tener acceso a las sesiones previas. No tienen que mantenerse estrictamente en la agenda con nosotros. Las van a poder tener grabadas. Vamos a compartir con ustedes las presentaciones y la información. Bueno, muchas gracias por todo. Matt, nice to meet you, and see you soon, hopefully.
All right, thank you.